So the autofocus channel is pretty young, so I haven't given out any awards or anything crazy like that yet. But I feel like if I did, you guys have seen the videos, there's probably about two things that I would give out awards for. One is an award for the EV that was best to become electric from the gas version. And the other would be the EV that is hardest to tell is electric. And that would be this thing back here. I think the previous winner may have been like an F-150 Lightning, because the F-150 Lightning is basically an F-150 that happens to be electric, but it's also got the headlights and the taillights, and you can tell looking at it, that's the electric one. This is the Mercedes e-Sprinter. It's a cargo van. This is one of those types of vehicles that is really good just for local deliveries. Like, yeah, the electric one, it's less than 10K more than the gas one. It's very much just as capable. And you basically can't tell at all that it's electric. Now, this one's blue. Maybe that's a bit of a giveaway, but you can see a blue regular Sprinter. Here's the only actual giveaways that this is electric. This one badge right here says electric. You get this whole giant van here, and no other part of it says it's electric until the back where it says e-Sprinter. Just that letter E right there. But the Mercedes Sprinter is kind of iconic. You've probably seen these things before. Driving it is hilarious because I don't drive vehicles this gigantic very often with these massive extended wheelbases and extra ceiling height and all that. So it's just been fun driving a gigantic cargo van around for a little bit. But when it comes to local deliveries around neighborhoods with not a super far distance to travel, this comes off as smoother, quieter, more comfortable, cheaper to operate, less moving parts, less maintenance, and even a little friendlier because it's quieter for just driving around neighborhoods. It's the e-Sprinter. These are the kind of vehicles that you don't really even think about the features of because you never have to drive one and it kind of just blends in around you. You've probably seen several of these already this week and not even noticed. You know, just cargo vans in general, delivery vans. I was behind a random Nissan one on the highway today before I realized it was basically the exact same shape as the Sprinter. But all you really are working with here is a cab at the front, which is pretty simple. Some basic creature comforts here. And then you get around to the back and there is some amount of storage, kind of similar to that. Remember the Rivian delivery van that I made a video about? Similar to that. So there's some windows back here and a camera up top to see what's behind you. You open the back, and right now, all we've got back here is a giant pallet, and this happens to be a 450-pound box. And I could explain why in a second, but there's not really a whole lot else going on in the back. There's no windows, there's no shelves, it's just you need cargo space. We got cargo space. So you got the tie downs, you've got the box. This is what you're transferring around in the Sprinter, this type of stuff. Maybe it's video gear, maybe it's other stuff. It's up to you. So let me show you the front, because the front of the Sprinter is kind of funny, and I'll explain why I say that. But again, you know, you probably don't drive vehicles like this very often, so you might not have seen the inside of one of these. So here's the cabin. And here is the step up into the very elevated driver's seat of the e-Sprinter. So let's talk features. Here are all the features that I found in the cabin of the e-Sprinter. Cargo space. That's basically it. I'm just kidding. I mean, there's a couple other things, but I'm not actually kidding. There's mainly just cargo space everywhere. So there's this steering wheel. I mean, this is kind of hilarious that it's almost the same steering wheel as you've seen in other Mercedes vehicles, but there's your self-driver controls. There's your media controls, your horn, nice high-pitched horn. But then storage space goes crazy. All right, so there's a little bit here. There's obviously a lot of door storage space, your cup holder, your water bottles, things like that. Over on the left, not a lot of storage until you get up here. Cup holder, more storage. Maybe you could put a phone there, but also maybe you could put a phone here. Matter of fact, yeah, I think you could put a phone there, or you could put a phone there. But you also have a cup holder, you have a cup holder here, you have a cup holder, you have a cup holder, and then there's no glove box, but you could totally put stuff that you want, that's just like paperwork and registration stuff up here. Or you know, you could also put it up here. It's nice. Or you could put it up over here. That's cool too. And here's another thing I've noticed is this this doesn't have a mirror the way most of these big sunshades usually do. But in the middle here is a camera for a mirror, because behind you in the eSprinter is just the cargo space, so you can't actually use this as a mirror to see what's behind you. So this is that camera that's behind you, and you can point that up or down a little bit. But if you turn that off, it's still a regular mirror. And so you could just kind of point it directly at yourself and use that as a mirror, because there's no mirror here. Maybe that's not what it's for, but anyway, you can see behind you at all times there. And then if I were to hit the reverse button here, you can see the extremely elevated rear camera. Moving this thing around, backing this up is kind of hilarious. I don't know if you've ever tried with a 7-foot high, maybe it's like a 9-foot high backup camera. But then you got your basic specs. So in here is the range. I'm shooting this on a different device than normal, so let me know if you noticed that. But 226 miles of range is 92% battery for this battery size. That's actually adjusted for the cargo I have in the trunk. So it knows the payload, again, roughly 450 pounds here. It typically has a 275 to 300 mile battery life, but because I have that payload, it's gone, oh, okay, you'll probably actually get more like 245 to 255 miles. And that's reflected here, which is cool. But then on the inside, of course, you're gonna know this is just electric power. This is gonna be a tachometer. That's your speedometer over there. It's real basic in here after that. You've got your basic knobs for volume, for media, for temperature control, for fan control, HVAC stuff. There's even missing buttons for other options that could be here if you option them, although there is heated seats, which I like. And that's about it for the interior of the eSprinter. Not a whole lot else going on. Of course, a lot of people have asked, so yes, this does have adaptive cruise control. Yes, these paddle shifters do change between amounts of regen. So if I flip to drive right here, you can see that says D for drive. And if I were to hit the minus, we go to D minus, which is full on, not actually one pedal driving, but really heavy regen. And then you can go plus to go back to D, or even D plus or plus plus, which is just straight cruising with zero resistance, no regen. And the other thing is, what are the drive modes? So if you hit that drive mode button, you can see there's basically comfort, eco, and max range. Max range is really like trying to like turning down you can hear the air conditioner just got a little quieter, like really maximizing what the drivetrain can get you. But in general, driving around in comfort, totally fine. You know, electric cars have started to remind me of folding phones. Hear me out, just because I think folding phones, so I've reviewed a lot of folding phones, and I think they'll get to the tipping point of finally being much more popular when and only when the tech has caught up to the point where when you're choosing a phone, you can just choose the folding version or the non-folding version, and there's no trade-offs. It's just, do you want the folding one? Is that better for you? Or the non-folding one? But right now, the tech's not that good yet. So a folding phone has these trade-offs. Like, first of all, it's almost always more expensive. There's more parts. There's more less durability, there's not as much dust resistance. There are things that you have to accept as downsides to get the folding version. But yeah, someday, maybe they'll be the same price, the same amount of, hopefully not that many moving parts, there's no crease, like they will just be, do you want the folding one or not? And then you get the benefits, or you get the benefits of the other. And that's how I feel like electric cars are also advancing. And it's in the same way, where someday in the future, the tech will be good enough that electric cars are either you just buy the electric car or the non-electric version of the car, and it's just kind of whichever one is better for you. Do you want the loud one with gears? Do you like that? You can get the gas one. Do you want the quiet one, maybe with more storage space or that's smoother, whatever? Or less moving parts and maintenance, whatever. Get the electric one. It's up to you. But the tech's not there yet, so there are also trade-offs and downsides like extra weight. The EV version is almost always significantly more expensive than the gas version. And of course the range. If you ever want to do a road trip and have a long way to go, then you typically prefer a gas version, at least to not have range anxiety. This eSprinter is in a good spot where, luckily, most of the trade-offs, it always wants me to turn it off. You actually don't really have to think too hard about these trade-offs because it's a Sprinter. This thing was big and heavy anyway. The electric version is roughly, I was looking on their website recently, it's like $7,000 or $8,000 more expensive than the equivalent gas version. Like this same Sprinter for gas is like 60 grand versus 68 grand when I looked it up. So yeah, it's a bit more expensive, but I mean, you're not doing road trips in this. You're just doing local delivery, moving this around between a couple different towns or counties or whatever it is, and hopefully range anxiety is not an issue. So really, ideally, you benefit from this being quieter, smoother, and potentially having more storage if, you know, they were able to add more storage from having the battery at the bottom instead of the gas tank. So I like this thing, man. It's cool. I think it's good in neighborhoods. It's quieter. You're able to hear the kids playing in their lawns so you don't, you know, run them over or something crazy. I just think in general, this is one of the better types of vehicles to go electric, and that's showcased by the fact that it looks and feels exactly like the gas one. It just happens to be electric. Shout out to the cargo vans. All right, that's just my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Let me know if you agree. Peace.